Here we go. Good evening and welcome to Duts Live, the 63rd edition, right here on Oregon at the Voice College Football. No, I am not exploring with Ben and Sam because Ben is out due to this week. He's on a concert with his friend Sam. I'm
No,
yours truly.
actually, Ben is under the city of Paris right now
Oh
in
yeah, that's
Paris, France, doing the
wee wee.
touring the catacombs.
Oh wee wee. But I'll be subbing for Ben for tonight, and next week Ben will be back from his trip in the catacombs. I'm yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and this man right next to me. You see him every week on Duts Live and on the Oregon Post Game Show. The one and only himself, Spaz. As we go over our take on what is going on with the Oregon Donald Ducks throughout last week and this week, and what needs to be done going into Michigan State. How you doing today?
I'm all right, man. Just trying to get everything ready. It's a chore when you're going to a game, especially on a Friday. So it's trying to get laundry done and get all my booze packed up and for tailgating and
Like,
ironing the trip details out with my cohorts. And yeah, it's wild. Plus trying to eat dinner and do my other show and
oh, there you go.
busy.
Busy bee, if you please. But yeah, we saw a little bit of Oregon UCLA last Saturday, and that final score is not what it indicates. Tell me a little bit about it, and for the audience that didn't see Oregon UCLA, what was your takeaway from that game, Spaz?
uh Complete and utter beat down. The only thing that was keeping UCLA in the game was they were trying to uh at times you thought they were trying to call out hit pieces. As we'll talk about later with Terrence Ferguson and a few other players, and uh, it got kind of crazy for a minute, but most of it was just like controlling the emotions and just staying the course. The game was over early on. Like you said, the final score was no indication of the game. That was a complete and utter beatdown. UCLA is nowhere near what they need to be, and they won't be for a while yet. Deshaun Foster's first year, he's just trying to figure his stuff out and see what he's got, and so it's going to take a while. So it was not too difficult of a task last weekend.
And, some people have been saying, well, Oregon, that's going to catch up to them. Oh, well, they're a disaster. You know, and Caden, the man, brings up they're struggling, which honestly, and I know you and I have talked about it like off air, where
Keep
maybe it's
keep
just me.
thinking that, Ohio State. Keep thinking that. Exactly
I
what we want
feel,
you to do. Ask Georgia about that.
well,
Put
I
that
feel
right,
like,
Jackson.
yeah, I mean, Oregon's saving their best stuff for Ohio State, honestly, because I mean, it's like playing poker. You don't show your full hand. You don't act like you got a full hand. You don't go around showing that poker face. Like, you gotta keep it calm, cool, collected. You gotta make it seem like that you got no emotion on your face.
Yep, exactly. And it's the perfect game plan. Uh, Jackson, you saw it firsthand last week, uh, being with Alabama. Now tell me, going into that game, did you see the first half of that game last week against Georgia playing out the way it did going in?
I did not think it was going to be like that. I could tell you right now. I was just shocked. I was like, but
And you're
good.
there in Alabama. So, I mean, that says a lot right there.
Mhm. I was shocked, but again, in a good way. But, it basically sent a reality check to the Georgia Bulldogs in the second half, and I know it's a little early for Oregon, Ohio State, but people forget that Autzen Stadium is a very dangerous place for teams going there.
Yeah, I believe it's at like 26 consecutive non-conference games that we won at Autzen, and we've only lost 2 home games in the last like 3 years, and both of those, I believe, were to Washington.
Well, seems like things are only going to get better from there. And I mean, that Boise State win has obviously gotten better for the Ducks. I mean, back when Oregon beat them, people were just kind of saying that, well, the Boise State game, y'all got lucky against them. It's gonna catch up to you. And I mean, if you're talking about Idaho, I understand that. But if it's against Boise State, with Andy Avalos, I get
Well,
it. But
and keep in mind, Idaho has not lost as well since.
good point.
And they're expecting Idaho to probably go undefeated in their conference. So if Idaho is 10-1 and Boise State is 11-1, your non-conference schedule does not look that bad. And if the Beavers win 7 or 8 games, that doesn't look as bad neither.
Well, and I've noticed the CW curse has not hit the Oregon State Beavers for sure. It's not gotten them at all.
No, it hasn't yet. So we'll see Saturday. They got Colorado State on Saturday.
Oh yeah, that is for sure. But speaking of what we'll see on Saturday, what can our friend Mark Rogers tell us about the voice of college football bets, like Steve Merrill and Steve Dace and Matt Zemek?
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under the radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.
And that's not all. Steve Merrill so far this season is 3-2 in the under the radar picks, including last week's matchup between Florida International and Louisiana Tech, where Florida International was a 3-point underdog, but they won 17-10. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you are making some bets this year, or if you're doing parlay sheets, I recommend having Steve Merrill's under the radar pick of the week on that list. And I guarantee you're not going to regret it. But back to the Oregon Ducks, of course. What was something that what was something that they need to learn from week 5 in order to have a better week for this week against Michigan State?
Just again, it's the little things. It's just got to control your emotions. You know, control the penalties, drive killers. Oregon has scored on like 90% of their drives if there is no penalties. Once we get going, we just got to stay focused. Focus and execution. Penalties will kill you. Last week, the second half, we only scored 6 points, but part of it, as Dan Lanning pointed out in his press conference the other day, was that we were getting different ball spots in the second half. So instead of starting at the 35, 40, 45-yard line, we were, a couple of drives were inside the 20, and I think one was hit with a penalty. We started inside the 10. So, when you're have farther distances and you're starting with penalties and things, it makes it harder to adjust and recover from.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot be having a lot of penalties against Michigan State. I mean, you can get away with something like that against Michigan State, but you can't be getting away with things like that against Ohio State on NBC Saturday night. That's for sure. And we got Tony Morgan saying Oregon is 4-0, looking to go 5-0. Let's go Ducks. Oregon Big Ten Conference Championship 2024. Oregon is about to turn the volume up. And here we go. We got it Exploring with Ben coming on in saying, why does Spaz look finally presentable the night I'm not here? Oh, man. It's like, oh, man. Oh, man. We appreciate you tuning in to Oregon at the Voice of College Football, Ducks Live 63rd edition.
Yeah, what are you doing on here? Why aren't you underneath the city?
Oh, man. Was there anything else that caught your eye besides the penalties exactly?
Just there's a couple of players that tried to get inside our heads, and that caused a little bit of an issue for a little bit on Saturday. Braylon Addison was former Duck, transferred to UCLA. He was trying to lay the wood on some of our guys. He knocked Terrence Ferguson out of the game, and he didn't come back. So that kind of hurt us a little bit. But the rest of the guys came to and kind of figured out the game plan and what UCLA was trying to do. They were just trying to hit. They're trying to hit hard and hoping they would be able to do something.
Wow. And, I was thinking about, a couple players that you and I were talking about. We were talking a little bit about Matthew Bedford and Terrence Ferguson. What's going on with them exactly? How are they doing?
Terrence Ferguson practiced on Monday. I believe he practiced again today. And he's good to roll. Dan said he'll be playing. He's cleared to go. He's cleared concussion protocol. He's good. Basically, they just held him out because of the type of game it was becoming. And they were like, they probably could have put him back in the second half, but it was one of those games where, you know what? Nope, let's just not risk it. And let's let him recover fully, and he'll be good to go this week. He will be in Friday. Matthew Bedford, on the other hand, is not looking so good. It was looking like he was going to be able to return. He returned to practice a few weeks ago, possibly looking at one point they were talking probably either the UCLA game or this Michigan State game, getting him ramped up for Ohio State. Last week he took a ding again in practice, and some of the indications that I'm getting are that he may end up being held out for the year. We're not sure yet, but Dan Lanning was asked yesterday in the press conference whether they were going to explore the option of another medical or not for Matthew Bedford, and he said, "Well, we'll explore that those and other options as needed, and at this point, it's not needed." So, in other words, he's just saying we're not saying anything right now other than he's not going to be there this week. Probably no more in the next couple of weeks whether he'll be able to come back or not.
Yeah. Any more takeaways from the Dan Lanning press conference that happened this week?
No, pretty much just getting ready to take on somewhat of a familiar foe in former Oregon State coach Jonathan Smith, who took over up there at East Lansing. They've got the same. He brought Aiden Childs, his freshman quarterback from Oregon State, up to East Lansing with him, along with tight end Jack Vealing and their center. I forgot his name, but Jonathan Stewart took, I think, 4 or 5 players from Oregon State. Those are the 3 most notables because they're all starters. They play the same kind of game. They're going to try to throw it around the field some. Aiden Childs has a cannon for an arm. He's not as mobile as some quarterbacks, but he when he gets out of the pocket, he can be dangerous with his feet. But you want to keep him in the pocket and keep him contained. They don't have a lot of weapons right now at Michigan State, but so far they've been faring pretty well. It showed their lack of depth and everything last week, playing the juggernaut, playing Ohio State. I believe it was 41-7 was the final. And you saw, I didn't catch but a few clips here and there, but you saw definitely firsthand what Michigan State versus Minnesota versus Michigan State versus Ohio State or Oregon is looking like. You saw the difference. There's no depth. There's not much competition there but it is what it is for Michigan State. They're just trying to figure things out up there. And so far, Jonathan's doing a good job. They got a good, decent defense. They're young, and they'll figure it out. Jonathan Smith is a good coach. He'll be able to turn them around before too long.
And Troy V says, how dumb was the scheduling people to make UCLA your first Big Ten game? I think they were doing Oregon a solid, honestly. I think UCLA's being punished, if anything. So it's not been a great year so far for the Bruins. They're just kind of like, please let 2024 be over. They are begging for mercy. They are getting down on their hands and knees begging for the year to be over. But I mean, I'm not blaming the team. I blame that god awful athletic administration. It's you keep Chip Kelly on for too long, and you do that, of course. And I'm not blaming Deshaun Foster. He walked into a freaking buzzsaw. That's bad.
He walked into a dumpster fire for sure.
I mean, I'm just kind of I think a dumpster fire is better than the wood chipper from Fargo that he walked into. I mean, it's just like, good God, that's terrible. On Troy V says Michigan State will be good in a year or so. good young talent on that team. Yeah, what I've really liked also about Aiden Childs is that he has a lot of confidence in his receivers. Because I know like a lot of people were saying that, oh, he's got too much confidence in his teammates, this, that, and the other. It's like, when did that become a bad thing? Like, I don't understand that. I mean, it's a lot better than the way Shador Sanders acted towards his teammates after the Nebraska game.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, I would love to be teammates with a quarterback that's literally betting on me. Like, he's telling the press and everybody, oh, I'm going to bet on these guys. We're going to win. So, yeah. But before we get to our next topic of view, we would like to tell you to shop on Amazon using the link to support The Voice College Football. It doesn't cost you a penny, and you not only help The Voice College Football, but you also help yourself, including next week with Amazon Prime coming up. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a win for everybody. It can not only be a win for The Voice College Football, but a win for yourself. Also, of course, if you love top-notch betting advice, insider looks, watch parties, predictions, exclusive live streams, come on in to patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or become a YouTube member at The Voice College Football. But also become a think about becoming a $9.99 tier member of The Voice College Football, because you can be on CFB After Dark every Sunday night at The Voice College Football, where you catch me, Ben, Spaz, and plenty of other crazy characters, where we even talk a little bit about Mary Mac. I mean, it's that fun. It's basically the running gag of the show, but point being, you won't regret it. That I can personally guarantee.
Go to bed,
Oh, man.
Daddy.
Oh, man.
Busted my nuts from halfway across the world.
So, were there any players that we missed out on from Michigan State besides Childs?
Yeah, I honestly have no clue who really Michigan State has on their team much of, other than the three I mentioned. And that's just because they came from Oregon State with Jonathan Smith.
True.
Other than that, sorry, I don't get in depth a lot on a lot of the teams. Unless I have to. Like next week, I got a lot of studying next week. Because there's a ton of people to watch out for on the Ohio State team.
Yeah. Well, and it says that Michigan State is 12th in the country in sacks. So that is not a team I want to mess with for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can put a lot of pressure when they need to.
That's the other thing. Oregon has shown zero pressure. Zero pressure this year, hardly at all. Outside of the front four. We haven't had any major corner blitzes. We haven't ran any linebacker blitzes or any of that, really. Nothing major. Everything's just kind of been frontline and contain. And again, that goes into it's going to be a different game plan next week. So if any of you Ohio State people out here hiding and trying to send information back, you might as well tell them to scrap any game plan that they see, because they're not going to see what they think they're seeing. I'm telling you right now, the good coaches, the smart coaches, like Jackson said, they keep it inside. They keep it close to the vest until they need to break out that schematic. What Kalen DeBoer did last week was just phenomenal. And what was even more phenomenal, just as phenomenal of that, is Kirby Smart had no clue in the first half what was coming at him. He had no way to game plan any different. He went with what he saw, what he had on film. Everything he had prepped for, and Alabama threw everything but the kitchen sink, but what he had saw at him in that first half. So at halftime, like a mad scientist that he is, he went into the locker room, probably grabbed a couple of tablets and ran through some shit, made some adjustments, and came out in that second half and turned that game completely upside down and made that a game, made that a typical Alabama-Georgia game in the end. It came down to pretty much who had the ball last. And that's pretty much it. And that's exactly what you're going to see next week. I truly believe it in my heart of hearts. And if it doesn't happen that way, and for some reason Ohio State comes in and steamrolls us and we just look like complete and utter dog shit, I'll be the first one on here in the post-game show to say we looked like complete and utter dog shit, and I was wrong.
I'll hold you to it. But I looked at the red zone offense just now. Oregon is tied 66th in the red zone, but Michigan State is tied 123rd.
Yeah, exactly.
Oof.
And the only reason we're that low is just because, again, penalties and mistakes and things that have happened. I believe what's the turnovers on the year? What does Oregon have? 2, 3?
Oof. Sounds like not a whole lot.
Dylan Gabriel threw his first interception last week that was returned for a pick 6 that completely turned that game around.
Yeah.
Because it was about to be 35-0, and now it's 28-6 or 28-7, and it's a different ball game because UCLA gets the ball coming out.
Yeah, he's got one interception.
Yeah, I don't even know how many total turnovers the team has.
So
it's not very many.
Sounds like that's going to help quite a lot in the coming weeks. Just keep protecting the ball, do what you got to do. You'll be good to go.
And Dylan Gabriel needs to run more. He's got to get out of the pocket, and especially against Ohio State. We're going to have to use some RPOs and some speed runs and whatnot options in order to take away some of the pressure.
Okay. Yeah, because we saw some of that magic that Dylan Gabriel made at Oklahoma and at Central Florida, and he's going to continue doing what he's been doing at Oregon. 9 touchdowns so far. That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
And his accuracy is I believe he's hitting on 82% this year.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And that's probably tops or close to tops in NCAA.
Yeah. Well, it is 81.5, but of course you round it out to 82%.
I knew I was close.
Yeah. And he's only below Dylan Raiola and Miller Moss and Will Rogers, Caden Rourke, and Blake Edwards, which I can't believe Blake Edwards leads the conference in passing yards. I'm just like, yeah, that's going to change in the coming week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like it's got to be the full year because Maryland, they've just been, they're just horse dung. Complete and total horse dung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions out there in the chat? Anybody got anything they curious about or nervous about or anything?
Give us your take on the Oregon-Michigan State game, or also give us your take on the predictions on what you think the score might be. I can tell you right now, it's going to be a fun Friday night.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't freaking rain on me.
Well, so I was looking at the series. Oh, okay. So I was looking at the series history, and I noticed that Oregon and Michigan State went against one another in 1998, 1999. I know everybody talks about 2014-15, but that was a pretty good home and home series. But I'm also looking at 1998, 1999. And I see that
out.
Yeah, Oregon. Uh-oh. And we got a hello from Illinois from a Husker fan. Scavin, yes. Well, we know you're going to enjoy Oregon at the Voice of College Football, and you can also check out Nebraska at the Voice of College Football, where we see Justin Adams making his magic every week on Cornhuskers Live and on the Nebraska postgame show, and some of his latest videos from Nebraska at the Voice of College Football. Stay tuned.
Oh, I hate the weather.
I hate the cold as well, man. But I couldn't believe it. But 1980 and 79 were the first two times that Oregon and Michigan State met. I know the last time they played each other was in the 2018 Red Bots Bowl. I was gonna say Holiday Bowl for some reason, but it's like, no, it's the Red Bots Bowl. And that was a sloppy final score, 7-6.
Yeah, we won that game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, in 1998, it's funny though, because like Oregon beats Michigan State. Then what happens later in the year is we see Michigan State upsetting the Ohio State Buckeyes, spoiling their national title hopes. Like, honestly, that was pretty funny because it was like the 1 year Ohio State could beat Michigan under John Cooper. They couldn't get to a natty. They couldn't get to they couldn't get anything done. So it was pretty interesting to see what happened. So Captain Hiltz, you say that it's going to be an Oregon 38, 38, Michigan State 17 victory for the Ducks. So you're a Michigan State fan. No, wait, you're a Ducks fan. My mistake. I see. Yeah, I thought it was a Spark for some reason, but it's a Duck. How long have you been an Oregon fan exactly? I'm curious to hear the backstory. That's pretty cool.
Captain's an old man. He's been an Oregon fan for 40 years, 50 years.
So he was a fan before the Rich Brooks era, or during the Rich Brooks era.
Yeah, Captain's one of our. He's one of our old faithful.
Nice. Are you okay, man?
Yeah.
Said 40, been one my whole life. There you go. Well, one of these days you're gonna see very happy days in Eugene, Oregon. That I can personally guarantee.
Yeah, we'll see. I ain't counting my chickens anymore.
Well, hey, I mean, if it could happen for the Atlanta Braves, I can see it happening for the Ducks.
I'm 0-2 in the Natty so far. So,
well, I mean, thing about being down is the only way to go is up.
Yeah, and it looks like your Atlanta Braves are going down like a sinking ship. Titanic.
Well, on the bright side, we always have that 2021 World Series, but we'll get to more on that later. But meantime, we've got our prediction set up, and we've discussed our take on what's going on with the Oregon Ducks. We've discussed our take on what's going on with Michigan State. So, with all that being seen, what is your final score prediction for Oregon Michigan State?
You're the guest, Jackson. Go first.
Well, okay. But I'll be quick with it. But I think it's gonna be a Oregon 35-14 victory. Honestly, I think that's what it's gonna look like. I think Oregon's kind of saving their special sauce for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, I think so too. I look for Oregon to pull out a few wrinkles this week and really kind of hopefully put some things together. I think we're looking at a 45-17.
Oh, there we go. That's pretty cool.
Let's see if he's passed out yet.
Nah, he's fine. He's all fine.
If he was out here, might as well get his score prediction. Shit. Going once, going twice.
Nah.
Haha, I win because you didn't give a score prediction this week.
Nah. Well, we'll give him plenty.
So I'm
plenty
up
more
3-2 now.
But yeah, it's fun thinking about it being a conference game, honestly, because like I still just kind of think to myself, oh wow, that's a home and home non-conference game. I know that conference realignment has just been kind of wonky, but I know it's not as wonky as it is now for the pack. But I mean, again, that's definitely another time for another day. So, what are we expecting the weather to be like in Eugene, Oregon, and what
Well,
difference does it make for them?
Thank God it's not up here where I'm at because they're calling for a rain day here where I'm at. Luckily, I'm 2 hours away, and there's only a 20% chance of rain in Eugene all day. So they're not calling for much rain.
Okay. No rain, no problem.
So luckily, hopefully it won't, but I have my ponchos packed just in case.
There you go.
I don't mind a little bit of sprinkle, but 90% of the time, when it and if it rains at Autzen Stadium, because it never rains at Autzen Stadium, it's a downpour because it doesn't rain. It just dumps. And it's miserable and it's wet and yeah. So I'm crossing my fingers and toes that we don't get any rain Friday.
Well, I hope you don't get any rain. That'll be awesome if you don't.
Slop bowls suck.
Yeah. So it'll be fun seeing what goes on in Eugene, and I don't know if we'll see this game be on Bad Beats with Scott Van Pelt for Monday night.
I don't know if the weather does.
Yeah. So that'll be pretty. Well, Captain Hill said he thought it was supposed to be a beautiful Friday.
Ha! 72 and sunny next week against Ohio State as well.
Ooh, that should help.
Yeah.
So, but We do have something we'd like to tell you about, and it's something you should totally get on Amazon, especially from friend Mark Rogers at the Voice of College Football. And I'll tell you one thing, he's got an exciting book coming out real soon on October 29th. Let me find it. Hmm. But we can guarantee you're gonna want to buy this book. It's the Disputed National Champions College Football's Historical 1990s Reset. In this book, you're going to learn what happened in the 90s, how the decade changed the sports, why the championship results should be questioned, how to critically think through the scenarios, to appreciate the accomplishments of teams that were not recognized as champions. This book provides an in-depth analysis of the changes, controversies, outcomes that defined a decade of college football. It challenges readers to explore and critically evaluate the decisions that shaped the national championship landscape, unlock the mysteries of college football's most debated decade. Grab your copy now.
So leave
tell you this.
those in the folder, will you?
Absolutely. So
that Ben can find those.
absolutely. No problemo. But I can tell you right now, it's going to be really fun thinking about getting that book. I mean, it is something you want to get for Christmas or a birthday if you still got your birthday coming up.
Yeah, so for those in attendance, there will not be a post-game show this Friday night. Ben is just returning to the country, and I will be at the game, and I don't know what the Wi-Fi is generally pretty shitty in Eugene, so until you get completely outside the stadium, and I don't know how long it's going to be before I get back to my room. So we're just going to scrap, and we're going to do a recap show probably sometime Sunday afternoon. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and you will know what time Sunday we're going to do our show. I'm guessing somewhere around 1 o'clock Pacific, 2 or 3 on the central side, somewhere around there. Ben will post that when he gets back. And next week, Ohio State Build-Up Week, we are going to have multiple shows, probably a couple of crossover shows. I'm not exactly sure. Myself and Ben will probably be getting together with Mark Rogers and a few others and kind of figuring out what to do. I know Mark's going to probably be big on pushing that show next week. We may, hopefully, we will have one of the preview shows next week. We'll have the voice of college football, yours truly, Mark Rogers, on this program sometime next week. So again, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, because then you will be up to date on everything we got going, because next week we're going to have multiple shows. My goal is to have one a day out, because there's a couple of other Ohio State people that I've met the last couple of years doing these shows that I'd like to have on and do some scuttlebutt. We might have some wild conversations. Who knows? So stay tuned, because next week's going to be big.
Yeah. It'll be a wild ride. So all I can say is tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Ben and Spaz are doing at Oregon at the Voice College Football every Tuesday, Wednesday, every Saturday on the post game. Every week on the post game show.
Normally
right
Saturdays, yes.
Yep. Every week right here on Oregon at the Voice College Football.
Tony, are you going to either of these two games?
That's gonna be a good question. That'll be fun. I believe it still will be.
You're funny, David. Funny guy there, David.
Oregon, Ohio State's always going to be a big game, no doubt about it. I mean, but what can
he's talking about Michigan State, though.
Yeah, I know. But still, regardless how Oregon performs,
we're not Louisville, David.
Oh man, Buddy Austin's going to be sad tonight. But in all seriousness, though, go Ducks.
That's good.
And then we got Tony saying, okay. Nah, I think he's all right. He's all right. He does a lot for the Oregon channel. And he does a lot on After Dark. So, I mean, he's cool, man. Unfortunately, he has to work, but you can see both of them. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And
well, that sucks. I'll be there Friday. I'll be there all day. I'm pulling out of here about 10 o'clock Friday morning to head down. So,
and as for me, I've got some adventures prepared up for me this week. I'm just looking at what's going on in the world of college football, keeping an eye on, especially what's going on with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Because I mean, you often see me on Crimson Tide Live on Monday afternoons, 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, or 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And of course, this Saturday, me and Johnny Burtz will be hosting the post-game show for Alabama Vanderbilt. 15 to 20, 30 minutes after the game is over, we will give our takes, what's going on there. And I can tell you, it'll be a wild ride. Tune in to Alabama with the Voice of College Football for more adventures on what's going on over there. And I'll tell you, it's going to be fun seeing what happens. And, like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss no video on that channel so you can see what upcoming adventures there will be on there. But, of course, also, like, comment, subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you do not miss another video whatsoever on Oregon at the Voice of College Football to see what adventures Ben and Spaz have coming up in their adventures. Spaz, what have you got going on this week? What adventures have you got?
Just game day Friday. It's going to be a long day. I'm leaving here early in the morning and I won't be back till Saturday. So yeah, it's going to be a long day. Lots of drinking.
Okay. Well, me, I'll just be drinking a little coffee, keeping an eye on the games, just kind of doing what I got to do. And with that being said, we wish you all a happy Wednesday night. Were there any points that we missed out on before we head on out of here?
No, we're good, man. I think we covered it all.
Well, in the meantime, Duck, play us out.
Quack, 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 quack. Go!
Hell was that?
Quack,
Quacker.
quack, quack.